You pick up your favorite kitchen knife, the one you paid $90, maybe $120 for, and you press it into a tomato. And instead of slicing through the skin, it skids. It crushes. The tomato collapses into a wet mess on the cutting board, and you stand there, knife in hand, wondering when exactly your good knife turned into a butter spreader. So you do what everyone does. You take it to the farmer's market sharpening truck or the kiosk at the hardware store, and you pay somewhere between $15 and $40 to get it back. It comes home sharp. For about 3 weeks. Then it's back to crushing tomatoes again, and you're back in line, paying again. I want you to sit with that pattern for a second, because it is not an accident. It is not bad luck, and it is not because knives just get dull. A knife edge, properly maintained, does not need to be reground every 6 weeks. Butchers who work a meat counter 8 hours a day don't send their knives out every month. Sushi chefs in Tokyo don't have a subscription to a sharpening service. There is a routine, and it costs you almost nothing, a few dollars for a strop and a fine stone you'll use for the next 20 years, that keeps an edge working the way it was designed to work for years without ever needing a shop to touch it. I'm going to show you that routine in full. But before I do, I need to tell you about the man who taught it to me. Because the routine only makes sense once you understand what he understood. Music. His name was Emil Voss. He ran the meat counter at a small grocery in central Wisconsin for 47 years, trained by his own father, who had learned the trade in Germany before the war. When I met him, he was in his 70s, still working 2 days a week because, in his words, a man forgets how to think if he stops using his hands. He had a drawer of knives that looked ancient, wooden handles gone dark with oil and age, blades worn thin and slightly concave from decades of use. Every one of them was still shaving sharp. Not one of them had been professionally sharpened in longer than he could remember. Emil didn't think of sharpening and honing as the same activity, and that distinction is the whole secret. Most people do. Most people think a dull knife needs sharpening, full stop, and that a $40 machine visit is simply what maintenance looks like. Emil would have told you that's like saying the only way to keep your car running is to rebuild the engine every month. It's not maintenance. It's a symptom of never doing the actual maintenance in the first place. Here's the part that's going to make you a little angry, and I think you should be. A sharpening kiosk, the kind you find at a hardware store or a farmer's market, makes its money on repeat visits. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's just how the business is structured. Every time your knife goes through one of those belt or wheel systems, it removes a small layer of steel to reform a new edge. It works. Your knife comes back sharp, but it also comes back a little thinner than it was, and, this is the part nobody explains, usually at a slightly different angle than the last time, because most operators eyeball the angle by hand, and every technician holds a blade a little differently. Do that every 6 weeks for a few years, and you've paid out a few $100s, ground away a meaningful percentage of the blade's life, and you never once left with a knife that stayed sharp longer than the last one. The incentive of the business and the interest of your knife point in opposite directions. Nobody at the counter is lying to you. The machine really does sharpen the knife. But the entire model depends on you coming back, and a knife maintained the way Emil maintained his never needs to come back at all. So let's talk about what actually happens to an edge, because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and the whole thing stops feeling mysterious. A knife edge under magnification is not a smooth line. It's a series of microscopic teeth formed where two beveled surfaces meet at an angle, usually somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees per side for a Western kitchen knife, and often tighter, closer to 12 to 15 degrees for a Japanese-style blade. When that edge is fresh off a stone, those teeth are aligned, standing straight, and they bite into whatever you're cutting. Every time you use the knife, every carrot, every onion, every cutting board contact, those microscopic teeth take a beating. They don't usually break off right away. First, they bend. They fold over to one side, a little like the way grass bends when you walk over it instead of snapping. Run your thumb along a dull knife, and what you're usually feeling isn't a missing edge. It's a folded one. The steel is almost all still there. It's just pointed in the wrong direction. This is the part that changes everything. If the edge is only bent, you don't need to remove metal to fix it. You need to straighten it back up. That's honing. A honing rod, sometimes people call it a sharpening steel, which is exactly the confusion that keeps this whole cycle going, doesn't grind anything away. It realigns the folded edge back to true, the same way you'd run a hand down a rug to lay the fibers flat again. 30 seconds, a few strokes per side, and the dull knife you were about to pay $40 to fix is back to biting into a tomato skin instead of crushing it. Only when the teeth have actually worn away, not bent, but genuinely eroded from repeated use over months, do you need an actual abrasive stone to reshape them? And even then, you're not sending it to a shop. You're doing 5 minutes of work with a fine stone at your own sink, once every few months instead of every few weeks, because the honing in between is what's been protecting the edge the whole time. Music. There's a history to this that's worth knowing, because it explains why this habit disappeared from most American kitchens in the first place. Go back 100 years, and every butcher shop, every professional kitchen, kept a honing steel hanging by the cutting board, and using it before every single task wasn't optional. It was just what you did, the same way you'd wash your hands. Cookbooks from the early 20th century assume you own one and know how to use it. It's baked into the culture of the trade. What changed wasn't the steel in the knives. What changed was who was using them. As home cooking shifted toward convenience through the mid to late 20th century, kitchen knives got marketed less like professional tools and more like appliances, something you buy, use, and eventually replace or send out, rather than something you maintain yourself. Manufacturers had every incentive to sell you a knife block and let the maintenance conversation quietly disappear, because a knife nobody knows how to hone is a knife that eventually needs professional service, or worse, needs replacing. A $5 honing habit doesn't sell $120 replacement sets. It's not that anyone erased the knowledge maliciously. It's that nobody had a reason to keep teaching it once it stopped being necessary for a sale. Music. If you've made it this far, here's what I want you to notice. You already understand something most people who own a good knife never bother to learn: the difference between an edge that's bent and an edge that's gone. That distinction alone is worth more than the $40 you would have spent today. Now let's build the actual routine. The setup. You need 3 things, and none of them are expensive. A honing rod, ceramic or diamond-coated 12 inches is a comfortable length. These run $10 to $25 and last a lifetime. A fine sharpening stone, something in the 1,000 to 6,000 grit range, a combination stone with both is fine. And a leather strop, which you can buy for under $15 or make yourself from a scrap of belt leather glued to a board. That's the entire kit. Total cost, if you own none of it, is somewhere around $30 to $45. Roughly one visit to the kiosk you'll never need to visit again. The angle. This is where most people go wrong without realizing it, because invisible. Find the bevel angle your knife was originally ground at. For most Western chefs' knives, that's around 20 degrees per side. Japanese single bevel or santoku-style knives often sit closer to 15. If you don't know, a reliable trick is to stack 2 stacked coins under the spine of the blade while it lies flat on the stone. That gap approximates roughly the right lift for a standard kitchen knife. The goal isn't mathematical precision. It's consistency. The kiosk's real failure isn't bad technique. It's inconsistent technique, visit to visit. Your job is to pick an angle and hold it the same way every single time. Daily honing. Before you cook, not after, before, hold the honing rod vertically, tip resting on a towel on the counter for stability. Place the heel of the blade against the rod at your chosen angle and draw the entire length of the edge down and across in one smooth motion, as if you were shaving a thin slice off the rod. Alternate sides, 4 to 6 light strokes per side. You're not pressing hard. You're not trying to remove metal. You're guiding those bent microscopic teeth back into alignment. 30 seconds, and you're done. This is the habit that replaces the $40 visit. Not once, but every single time you'd otherwise reach for it. Monthly stropping. Once every few weeks, take the leather strop, and this time draw the blade backward, edge trailing, not leading, so you never cut into the leather, at the same angle, 4 or 5 passes per side. This polishes and further refines the edge Emil's generation used to keep a straight razor mirror sharp for a full week between actual sharpenings. It takes about 2 minutes. Quarterly stonework. Every 3 to 4 months, or whenever honing alone stops bringing the edge back, you'll feel it. The knife will need more strokes to recover than it used to. Go to the stone. Wet it if it's a water stone, lay the blade at your set angle, and draw it across in smooth arcs, working heel to tip, maintaining even pressure. 10 to 15 passes per side on the coarser grit if the edge is genuinely worn, then switch to the fine grit for another 10 passes to polish it back to a working edge. Finish with a few strops on the leather. This is the only stage that removes any real metal, and because you've been honing between uses the whole time, you'll find you need it far less often than you think. Some home cooks go 6 months to a year between stone sessions, if the daily habit is consistent. How to check your work. 2 simple tests. First, the paper test. Hold a sheet of printer paper by one edge and try to slice through it with a light draw. A properly maintained edge should cut cleanly without tearing or snagging. Second, the arm hair test that professional sharpeners use themselves. Hold the blade lightly against the hair on your forearm. A sharp edge shaves it cleanly with almost no pressure. If it doesn't, you're not sharp yet. Go back to the stone, not the drawer. Music. Now, I want to be direct with you because I said at the start of this video that I wasn't going to sell you a fantasy, and I'm not going to start now. This routine will not fix a knife that already has a chip in the edge from being dropped or from cutting bone. That needs real reprofiling, often at a coarser grit than most home kits include. And that might be one legitimate trip to a professional once to reset the geometry, after which this maintenance routine takes over and keeps it there. It also won't work on serrated bread knives. Those teeth are a different geometry entirely, and honing does very little for them. Leave those to occasional professional service or replacement. And if you own knives in exotic super hard steels, the kind used in high-end Japanese blades that hold an edge for a very long time but chip more easily, you'll want a slightly gentler hand at the stone stage, and possibly a slightly higher angle to protect the edge. This is a maintenance system for the everyday working knife in your kitchen, the one you use every day, not a universal fix for every blade on Earth.